Big freaking news, guys. A new awesome documentary is coming out, and guess what? I'm in it. And double guess what? The filmmaker's name is also Ariana, and she spent the last 5 years making it. It's called Just Look Up, and its theatrical premiere is tomorrow, March 28th in Hollywood, California at the Santa Monica Film Festival. Tickets are available in her description, but there's a part of the full trailer. Enjoy.
Carries with it a tremendous range of uncertainties, ethical and political concerns, and the potential for catastrophic environmental side effects.
Reporting on this, like you guys are doing, it puts you in the crosshairs.
If you speak out about anything that is against the narrative, you're in line to get your head cut off the guillotine.
Scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. This is nuts.
This is a conspiracy theory. It's not something that sort of normal, rational people think is happening.
It's not a theory. Would you care to look at my data?
There has been testimony in front of the United Nations. There's also been testimony in front of the U.S. Congress. And I'm talking 15 and 20 years ago.
They know where it's coming from. I mean, he's a biologist. But this stuff that does not belong free form in the atmosphere. It's nano material. That's man-made.
Whatever's up there is going to come down on us, right? It's going to land in our water, going to land in our food. If we're going to say our food is organic, what about our sky?
Please welcome to the show, Ariana Victor. Hey, Ariana.
Hey, Jimmy. It's so good to be here with you today. Thanks so much for having me on.
Well, let me just go ahead and play the trailer for this new film that's premiering on March 28th, and we'll talk about it in a sec. Let's go.
They say the devil's in the details, right? The stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation, Satan.
That's actually what they call it.
Right. That's the acronym, Satan.
That's written in MIT.
They aren't even hiding it anymore.
They have denied things over the years. Oh, we don't have that science or that thing. And then 5 years later or 3 years later, dang, they're putting it in a press release that they really do have it.
The White House released a congressionally mandated report, and they're focusing on reducing or eliminating natural sunlight from reaching the Earth.
Geoengineering carries with it a tremendous range of uncertainties, ethical and political concerns, and the potential for catastrophic environmental side effects.
Reporting on this, like you guys are doing, it puts you in the crosshairs.
If you speak out about anything that is against the narrative, you're in line to get your head cut off the guillotine.
Scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. This is nuts.
There's different nanoparticles everywhere, not only in the food, but in the water. It hides in the tissues. It builds up inside the nervous system.
This is a conspiracy theory. It's not something that sort of normal, rational people think is happening.
It's not a theory. Would you care to look at my data?
There has been testimony in front of the United Nations. There's also been testimony in front of the U.S. Congress. And I'm talking 15 and 20 years ago.
They know where it's coming from. I mean, he's a biologist. But this stuff that does not belong free form in the atmosphere. It's nano material. That's man-made.
Whatever's up there is going to come down on us, right? It's going to land in our water, going to land in our food. If we're going to say our food is organic, what about our sky?
Did the colonizer ask for permission to take our land? What makes anybody think that geoengineering is going to be a different story? This time, they are colonizing the sky.
So that is the trailer for the new movie, Just Look Up by Ariana Victor. Now, Ariana, and so do we know who's doing this?
There are many layers. So on one hand, like I said, we do have traditional weather modification, which is the cloud seeding, and that alone has, which we spell out in the film, a lot of the aluminum that's coming down in the rain. We have barium, strontium, these are the three elements. So we have the traditional cloud seeding companies, and there's private sectors. We also know that solar radiation management and SAI, stratospheric aerosol injection, which I believe differs from cloud seeding. Solar radiation management is the plans to chemically block the sun as a means of fighting climate change and stopping the heating of our planet. So that's when you'll see the difference these days. That's when sometimes you'll notice the lines in the skies go out. They'll create those grid mark patterns, and by 4 o'clock, the sky is completely white and we can no longer see sunset. So those are the programs that no one is admitting to actually doing. They continue to tell us that these are just theoretical. I have the White House document right here. It's the congressionally mandated research plan to start researching some of these solar radiation management technologies, but they say we've never implemented them. They're all theoretical. They're all in research. We must study them as a means of fighting climate change. So I don't have the most solid, I wish I had a more solid answer for you, but I know that there's so many different people. And I do believe that a lot of it is military, which is partly why it's under wraps. The citizens don't know.
And so everybody knows the dangers of heavy metals like aluminum, right? They cause all kinds of disruptions in the endocrine system and your immunity, and it also can cross the blood-brain barrier. It could cause Alzheimer's and dementia. There's so many bad things that can come from. What about barium and strontium? What does that do?
You know, that's a great question. I actually don't have the specifics of what that does to the body. I know that barium, interestingly enough, they'll use it when you're getting an x-ray. So they'll actually inject you with barium in order to make whatever they're looking at. Let's say it's a brain scan. They'll put barium into the bloodstream so that the brain scans are more visible when you're looking at it through these x-ray electromagnetic technologies. And so that's something that I just found very interesting about barium, because I believe that's probably one of the reasons that they're spraying it into the sky, is because if we're operating these weather modification experiments, all of it, it's not just chemicals. There's electromagnetic component as well, and we're doing so using it with satellites and frequencies. And in order to study what we're doing, I think they use the barium on one hand to be able to have more visibility on the atmospheric level. But of course, it's going to be causing disruption in the body just as much because they're toxins.
So RT tweeted this out. U.S. confirmed to poison the sky with toxins. Newly declassified files reveal that the United States used toxins to influence Vietnam's weather. Conspiracy theorists now allege that the CIA could be doing this, mixing toxins into jet fuel to control the population and make people sick. Well, here it is from mainstream news right there. CIA accused of poisoning the sky with toxins as files expose secret weather control agenda. And that's from thedailymail.com by Chris Malari. Once top secret CIA files have detailed America's plans to control the world by manipulating the weather. The documents, declassified in 2003, discuss the controversial topic of weather modification, the tactic of launching rockets or using planes to dump chemicals into the atmosphere that alter the climate and local storm systems. Although the resurfaced documents from 1965 did not mention the specific chemicals used in the experiments, they did discuss the need for more funding of the weather modification projects that would soon be used as a weapon of war. In fact, the memos noted that federal funding for the secret program was set to be 4 times higher in 1967. The same year, the U.S. began spraying toxins over Vietnam to cause floods and landslides. And here's the document right here. It says weather modification is the subject. And in the first paragraph, it says, for your information, some from President Johnson to the Secretary of Commerce shows that an expanding program has White House backing. So it seems like this definitely has been researched as a weapon of war. And I'm pretty sure that there was a treaty in the mid-70s that would outlaw this. And what? And MOD. What is MOD?
NMOD.
The Environmental Modification Treaty.
Oh, she knows exactly what it is. So you know about that treaty. So of
Yes,
course
I do.
you don't have a treaty for something that doesn't exist. So obviously they had this technology back in the mid-70s. They were funding it heavily by these these new documents show in the 60s. So the government's obviously into this, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a better weapon to use than one that the people have no idea is being used against them. There's no one to blame but the forces of nature or even God. And so in this document here, they talk about artificial weather. This is page 27. They say that this is just a research document. So they add some disclaimer, which adds them some liability and protection from this actually being real technology. But they talk about really, really interesting things here and all the different ways that they can use weather as a tool of war. One thing that I found very, very interesting was that nanotechnology, this is what they quote, nanotechnology offers possibilities for creating simulated weather. So we're entering a time where it says a cloud or several clouds of microscopic computer particles all communicating with each other with a larger control system could provide tremendous capability. So one major advantage of using the simulated weather to achieve a desired effect is that unlike other approaches, it makes what otherwise the result of deliberate actions appear to be the consequences of natural weather phenomenons. So again, they talk about these nanotechnologies and how the production of these nanoparticles could be the same price as a pound of potatoes. So this is incredibly lucrative and kind of insane. I mean, you talk about nanotechnology and it sounds so far out there, but the idea of like iCloud, I'm like, oh my God, is this a real, is that legitimate? Do we have microscopic computer particles floating above us in our heads or floating above our heads? And what is that doing when the nanotechnology of the nanoparticles of aluminum and all these other heavy metals are raining down on us?
You see that one, those are what they're spraying in your sky.
What made it even stranger was another man in Wisconsin in the middle of the night after a storm stepped onto his patio with a UV light. What he saw next caught him off guard.
I just wanted to record this. And the light blue stuff is settling in the cracks. There's a big one down there. We got stuff everywhere. This is the spot that those were all tiny little dots just a couple weeks ago. There were none of these brighter blue ones.
A to jest poważna wojna pogodowa z ukierunkowaną energią właśnie tutaj. Ci sceptycy, możecie wrócić na pastwisko i napić się trochę fluoru, ponieważ reszta z nas jest zmęczona byciem martwymi i niszczeniem naszego życia przez ukierunkowaną broń energetyczną. Tylko proszę, miejcie oczy otwarte i głowy do góry, ponieważ to jest szalone, ludzie. To jest szalone. Jak pokazałem setki, jeśli nie tysiące razy, zobaczycie proste linie ekstremalnych zjawisk pogodowych. Zawsze będą one trafiać prosto do waszych radarów, jakkolwiek chcecie je nazwać, i zobaczycie te obszary ostrzegawcze, jak je nazywają, ale nie dlatego, że są to genialni meteorologowie z dyplomami. To dlatego, że są to obszary planowanego zniszczenia. I jak zobaczycie, wszystkie te ukierunkowane bronie energetyczne są wystrzeliwane bezpośrednio w te obszary planowanego zniszczenia. To wasz klasyczny popcorn fuzz, który kompresuje burzę i steruje nią, tworząc aleję tornad. Więcej popcorn fuzz, więcej prostych linii ekstremalnych zjawisk pogodowych prowadzących prosto do wież z ukierunkowaną bronią energetyczną, a nie tylko do tych wież radarowych małej mocy, jak powie wam meteorolog. Powiedzą wam, to tylko odbicie radarowe. To nie ma nic wspólnego z ekstremalnymi zjawiskami pogodowymi, poza tym, że pogoda strumieniowa zawsze przypadkowo podąża dokładnie wzdłuż linii prostej wyznaczonej przez radar. To po prostu zbieg okoliczności, rozumiecie? Zwykły zbieg okoliczności, stary. To zbieg okoliczności, jeśli zdarza się to raz czy dwa, ale jeśli za każdym razem, gdy ekstremalna pogoda trafia prosto na wieżę radarową i za każdym razem podąża za odbiciem radaru, właśnie pokazałem 4 wieże, czerwoną, fioletową, niebieską, czasami pomarańczową, oznacza to, że wyłączyli tę wieżę radarową, opóźnili lub ograniczyli jej działanie. Dlaczego? Powiedzą ci, to tylko zwykła konserwacja. Nie, to dlatego, że używają jej niecnie i spójrz, jakie to oczywiste. Wyobraź sobie te, które wyłączają, co z nimi robią. I zawsze znajdują się w pobliżu tych obszarów ekstremalnych zjawisk pogodowych, przypadkowo. Więc to jest twój popcornowy pył, który wywołuje burzę, ponieważ emituje różne częstotliwości. I reaguje z całym tym materiałem, który wyrzucają w niebo. A kiedy łączą wszystkie te bronie energii kierowanej, jeśli nie rozumiesz energii mikrofalowej, nie skaluje się ona tak, jak gdybyś połączył 2 wieże, to się po prostu nie podwaja. Kiedy podwajasz moc, do 5-krotnie do 10-krotnie większy efekt. Popcorn fuzz eksploduje i zaraz pokażę Ci całą masę popcorn fuzz, tak jak Ci pokazywałem. Przeciągnięcie, sterowanie i tryb kompresji. To, co robią, to tworzenie alei tornad, jak lubię to nazywać, ponieważ to tornada energii kierowanej. Nie naturalne tornada, nie bąki krów i tornada silników diesla, ale skierowana energia antropogeniczna zmiana klimatu spowodowana przez człowieka. Nazwijmy to po prostu morderstwem, bo tym to jest. I jak wszyscy widzicie, pozwólcie mi wziąć głęboki oddech. Wzdłuż całej alei tornad masz ten popcornowy meszek, jak pokazałem Ci wcześniej z pożarami. To wypala całą wilgoć, kompresuje, steruje lub aktywuje się w zależności od częstotliwości, z jaką są odpalane. Ten robi trochę jednego i drugiego, odpalając składki. To nie są obszary ostrzegawcze, to obszary planowego zniszczenia. Ukułem termin clautes bombiculus. Możesz go używać. Ale tak to właśnie wygląda. Kiedy widzisz te gigantyczne chmury jak bomby nuklearne wybuchające znikąd, to właśnie to się dzieje. Odpalają wiele pocisków energii kierowanej w jeden ograniczony obszar i bum.